Hello, everyone. It's another COVID episode. Mark Thompson here on The Conversation. Such a pleasure to be with you. Always interesting people, interesting guests doing things that are important and also intriguing. And today is no disappointment. John Hoadley. And John, I'm putting my credibility glasses on so I don't blow your title. As a state representative, it's his third time and his third term as representative for the 60th House District. Now, this is in Michigan, so this includes Kalamazoo. What else is in your district?
So I've got the city of Kalamazoo, Kalamazoo Township, and a little bit of the city of Portage.
There's a lot in you that's sort of reflective of the progressive ideals. You work hard. As I say, you right now are serving. And at the same time that you're, serving as a member, a state representative there, as a member of the legislature, trying to shape legislation and help your constituency, you're also running for office. You're running for re-election. Both of those things seem as though they would be full-time commitments. How do you balance that? Before we even get going as to some of the specifics and platform stuff, I'm just wondering about that, running for office while also serving in office.
Yeah, so, I'm in my third and final term as a state representative. And in that role, I'm the ranking Democrat, the minority vice chair on the state budget, the state appropriations committee. And we are in the thick of passing a budget this week. And at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm doing my day job well, right? I've got constituents I need to help get their unemployment insurance. We got to make sure we're dealing with constituent requests and writing legislation. At the same time, I'm right now the Democratic nominee for U.S. Congress in Michigan's 6th congressional district. So I have an opportunity to flip a seat that is about 7 times as big as my House seat in one of the states that we've got to win this fall.
And the effort to flip the seat, you really do have to emphasize where you are philosophically, strategically. I'm talking about in terms of the strategy of politics, should you get into office. Where are you and how is that case presented day to day?
So I'm one of the progressive members of the legislature. And, I've been proud to fight for big issues around like healthcare and the environment, standing up to Betsy DeVos's anti-education agenda, because this is her home state. And, I'm running in Southwest Michigan. So it is a part of the state that is rapidly trending Democratic and a seat that just was barely won by the incumbent last time around. The guy that I'm running against has been there for 34 years. I'm 37 years old. And, we are up against someone who's been on the wrong side of healthcare, the environment, choice, and so many other issues. But I'll tell you, voters in my neck of the woods, they are hungry for change. And we've got some of that prairie progressivism in us, right? We're tired of when corporations are rigging the rules, when folks are rigging the rules against working people. And people are really open to saying, yeah, we got to do some things differently here.
It would seem you've got incumbency, a long-term incumbent is what you're saying, right? It seems as though now would be a moment in time where people have to be fed up. It does feel as though it's an inflection moment in history, and I'm wondering, in this, with the dire need being what it is, if that doesn't really represent an opportunity. You're saying the district is changing in terms of its political makeup, but certainly the time is changing rapidly, right?
And those two things come into alignment in a year that we can flip a district in a state that we have to win. And what we're seeing, I'll tell you, right, is the number of people from all across the political spectrum, folks who are on the left who are just so fed up with Fred Upton and his anti-climate change agenda, voting dozens of times to take away healthcare. He voted against coverage for pre-existing conditions 12 times. People are saying, yeah, we need to move in a different direction. But then I also have independents who are asking 34 years, and why aren't you tackling the problems that we're actually facing here as a community? And then I've got so many folks who used to identify as Republican, but they've watched that party turn into the party of Trump and Fred Upton cozy up to Trump. And they just said, I'm trying to do virtual work from home. I've got kids that are trying to figure out virtual school. And all of this is because of the lack of leadership from Donald Trump. And Fred Upton supported it every step of the way. And so they're fed up and they want to do something different.
These GOP loyalists are a remarkable animal. I just am astounded. Even as Trump would seem to be bleeding off a lot of support politically, they still, it would seem, have a death grip on him. And to hear it manifested in the ways you've said, like embracing policies, sort of rejecting pre-existing conditions that are associated with the Affordable Care Act, and this wouldn't seem to be a political winner for him.
You know, what we can tell is that after 34 years, Congressman Upton has just gotten too cozy with the DC system, and he's disconnected from the challenges that we're facing in the district. You know, he talks about bipartisanship, but then in the first 2 years of the Trump administration, voted 96% of the time with the Trump administration. That's not bipartisan. And you know, and then on top of that, the issues that he's trying to push are just so out of touch with the challenges that we're facing. You know, skyrocketing student debt. I talk to so many people that can't afford childcare, and they're dealing with those issues. You know, long-term care is an issue I've done a lot of work on. You know, I remember the bills when my grandfather went into long-term care. You know, $8,000 a month. Those are things that real families are dealing with, and Congressman Upton hasn't been there. He's been asleep at the wheel. And that's why people want to just do something different.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not just something different. I mean, it would, you know, your progressive ideas feel as though they're right for this time and also for your constituency. Talk about veterans for a moment, because I know on some levels that we haven't gotten to yet, you are active with vets, and you have ideas that, again, are cutting edge when it comes to veterans.
You know, we have so many veterans in our district. One of the largest VA centers is just over, you know, on the other side of the county line. So we have thousands of veterans who've made Southwest Michigan home. You know, and then that's on top of the fact that we have the Guard, we've got drill stations just all spotted around the district. You know, this is an opportunity where we could actually do more. As a legislator, I was fighting to make sure our vets got the care they needed through our state-run facilities. And, you know, this is an area where veterans have been integrated and integral to our communities. And so the question is, why aren't we doing more? It's not just our veterans, right? It's our veterans and their families and the people that love them. And so there's huge opportunities in here where we can both make the VA more responsive. Michigan had ranked last or near the bottom for a number of years on VA care. So it's about time that we actually got some folks to Congress who are going to fight for those veteran issues.
And I was just reading some of your stuff before we went on and related to this, and I thought you had suggested as well when it came to education for vets and for those who, you know, have given generously in terms of military service, that you wanted to see the state step up that way as well, and the feds step up.
Absolutely. You know, and I want to be clear. I think that education should be a pathway for everybody. So let's make sure that we do something about the skyrocketing cost of college for everybody. But there are ways that we can help folks step up even more on veteran issues and make sure that our veterans, when they are coming back, they can streamline in terms of getting certifications and certificates that let them, you know, jump and get a jump start in the skilled trades. I've talked about making sure that I'm supporting front lines for our workers. So folks who have been in the front lines of service get access to our community colleges and higher education. And those are things that I think, you know, regardless of where you are in the country, we can be doing a lot of great work on.
You did very well in your past elections to represent your district. So this constituency, tell me, there's overlap there, and you're expanding it. I mean, that's the plan?
That's right. You know, as someone who, you know, got into politics originally, I come from a family of teachers and educators. You know, for me, it's always been about how can we build a Michigan that invests in people. And now that I'm running for Congress, that conversation gets a little bigger, right? How do we make sure that we're putting those people at the center of decisions that are being made in Washington, D.C.? And it turns out when you knock on doors, when you talk to people about the issues they care about, they are willing to look past party, and they're willing to say, is this person someone who's going to serve? And I built a track record of prioritizing constituent service and, you know, making sure that when it came even to complicated items, I did my best to break them down and make them accessible and explainable. And that has carried me well. You know, in the last few elections, we've watched as our share of the electorate continues to grow. And I remember knocking on doors last cycle when we saw people calling for change, saying that I've never voted for a Democrat and I'm voting for you. those conversations have been continuing, and we need them to continue. I talk to people all the time that this district that I'm running in now extends from my current House district all the way to Lake Michigan, down into Indiana, and just south of Grand Rapids. It's one of the least gerrymandered districts in the state because they couldn't move Indiana or Lake Michigan, which means we get a fair shake. And the things that they're talking about is more of that change. They want us to see someone who's going to be responsive. If you want to stop Mitch McConnell, then we've got to get reelect Gary Peters, and that happens in my district. If you want to defeat Donald Trump, then we've got to turn out voters in Southwest Michigan and get Biden and Harris over the finish line. And so this district is critical up and down the ticket.
Check out John Hoadley. What a great, fresh, progressive, young voice, and voice for real change at a desperately needed time. We only scratched the surface. You can follow John Hoadley on Twitter at John Hoadley. It's HOADLEY. But more importantly, go to his website to see all of his positions on things and maybe to support. You don't have to actually live in Michigan to throw a little support John Hoadley's way. It's johnhoadley.com. Again, it's HOADLEY. And John is spelled JON. So johnhoadley.com. John, thanks. What a pleasure to meet you virtually, someday in person, I hope. But until that time, good luck and continued success.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.